I got a Nintendo Switch 2 for my birthday. I wasn't expecting it really, to be honest with you, and I've had a lot of expensive stuff happen to me this year. Not in a bad way, but it's just been a very financially stressful year. So my plan was to get a Switch 2 at some point in the near future, which is a bit weird for me because it was the first Nintendo console that I haven't got at launch for a very long time. I'm thinking like the N64 or something, which totally gives away my age, but I wasn't bothered by it. Sure, Mario Kart looks fun, but for me it's not the end of the world not to have the console straight away. However, June 5th came around and all of my friends, all of my Salmon Run friends got their Switch 2, and they started telling me some things. They started telling me that there was no frame drops in Salmon Run the Next Wave in Splatoon 3, and I couldn't believe it. And the more they told me, the more I was like, well, actually, I might need to get a Switch 2. I still wasn't expecting one for my birthday. I wasn't expecting one so soon. But when I got one, I wanted to demonstrate what these people were talking about and to show the proof between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2 when it's playing Salmon Run. The other thing I want to talk about as well is when the Switch 2 came out, Splatoon had a major update. It released a new patch and its new version 10.0. That's the current update it's on. And with that update came a bunch of issues that have primarily affected Salmon Run. I've heard from other people that it's affecting PvP and sort of some of the single player modes, but really the only thing I'm going to talk about today and show you with this footage is Salmon Run. So the footage on the right is from the Switch 2 and the footage on the left is from the Switch 1. Before I got the Switch 2, I was playing Salmon Run like I always do, recording like I always do. I have so much footage. But then, the day after my birthday, I got a Switch 2. And I thought, why don't I record both side by side so you guys can see for yourself the difference? And the thing that I've come away feeling is I actually feel disappointed that Nintendo have released a patch that has kind of broken Salmon Run for Switch 1 users. It's really frustrating to see people lose interest and lose joy in this game because right now, in its current state, 10.0, Salmon Run does not work as it should do on the Switch 1. Okay, so we always had issues with slowdown, with frame drops, etc., throughout the whole of the Switch 1's life with Salmon Run the Next Wave. But a lot of those frame drops and a lot of those things were sort of map specific, such as Marina's Bay, or like RNG specific. So if there were a bunch of slamming lids, a bunch of fish sticks, things like that. And once you got rid of those bosses, the issue resolved itself. The inkjet is notorious for creating slowdown. And you will see that in this clip right here on the Switch 1. I deploy my inkjet and you can see it is like moving through custard. I don't know what the Americans will say, moving through jelly, moving through butter, but you can see on the left, it causes the game to slow down, and that's not even the worst of it. Whereas compared to the footage on the right, the Switch 2, there has been not a single frame rate drop. I actually played so badly when I got the Switch 2 and opened it up and set it up because I was not used to how clean everything felt, how good the frame rate was. There was barely any lag. We still have things like latency and egg lag and things like that, and you're never going to get rid of that unless Nintendo fix their network connection. But I couldn't believe how good the Switch 2 felt, and here I'm going to show you a game in its entirety. All of this footage in this video is freelance, by the way, but I do know some of the people that I ran into, and I do know some people are on Switch 1 and some people are on Switch 2. Which is causing its own issues as well. There's been lots of reports of like bosses like Drizzlers and Flipper Floppers not working properly. Rush is diabolical on the Switch 1, by the way. Like it's at HLM or very high hazard. It does not work whatsoever. But I know from this footage that there are people playing on the Switch 1 from all the footage in this video, and people playing on the Switch 2. So there is some desync issues between both consoles. And when you look at the load times of Salmon Run on the Switch 2, you can see why. And when you look how clean the game moves, there's no frame drops, there's no sort of stress lag, I don't know what to call it, or lag spikes, that's the word. Like when something happens and it causes the game to slow down and then it quickly rectifies itself. That happens so much on the Switch 1, it's unreal. Like when you're playing at high hazard or HLM, it's kind of a given, but now since the patch, since 10.0, it's fully broken. The recent Bone Rattle arena rotation, you can look at footage from anybody who's been playing it on Twitch and you can see how dreadful it is. The other thing I want to point out is the footage that I've used in this rotation, this grounds rotation, both the Switch 1 footage, the first clip and the second clip from the Switch 1, they are lower hazards than the clips from the Switch 2, because I played grounds up to like 500 or 600 EVP, and then I switched over to the Switch 2. So everything on the Switch 2 is 600 EVP and above. So there's more bosses, there's more lessers, there's more eggs, but none of it causes slowdown like it does in Splatoon, in Switch 1, not in Splatoon 1. Imagine we go back in time 10 years. Anyway, my opinion on this is not good. I don't think it's good. I think there's two ways you can approach this. You can think it's sort of cynical, pessimistic view that it was done on purpose to encourage people to buy a Switch 2. I wasn't going to buy one until I realised the performance of Salmon Run was drastically improved on a Switch 2. And even then I got lucky. I got gifted one. But I still probably would have bought one just for the fact that making content on the Switch 2 looks to be a lot better. So for me, I could probably justify that expense, but at the same time, I didn't like the fact that I would have had to pay more to get a game working as it should on the Switch 1, right? I don't think it's a good idea for Nintendo or the Splatoon team to release a game, or to release a patch, should I say, without stress testing it. I know it's difficult to make things work between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, and the Switch 1 came out in 2017. I know it's, there's a lot of things that I don't know about these things, right? But just as a player, as like a customer, it's kind of really shitty, don't you think? Like, it's like they're telling you, hey, go spend £400, that's how much it is in the UK, to go buy a new console so you can play this game that you've been playing for 3 years the way it should be played. And, I don't know how to feel about that without swearing. Listen, I'm laughing because I would be pretty angry about it if I felt like I had to pay so much money to just play the game properly. And I mean, I have, but for me, I can justify it in a way that A, it was gifted to me, but B, I do the content and I can sort of invest in that in a way, right? But if you're not me and you're not in a position where you can afford it or get it gifted to you, or in a position where you're making content and you just want to enjoy this game casually or more sort of seriously, or to some of the overfishers that I know that are having problems, then it really and I swore again, I'm really sorry YouTube, it just kind of slips out, maybe I'll bleep it out. But I've seen a couple of overfishers say that they're not playing this until they either get Switch 2 or that this patch gets fixed. And I really hope that the patch gets fixed. I hope they do something to satisfy the people that are still having to play on the Switch 1 because they can't afford or they can't get their hands on a Switch 2. I know somebody in the community that can't get a Switch 2 because it's not available in their country. So regardless if they can afford it or not, they physically can't get their hands on one. So what are you supposed to do in that situation? It's wholly unfair. I don't know what the solution is, but currently, in its current state, playing Salmon Run The Next Wave on a Switch 1 is obscene. It's horrible, it's dreadful, it's all the words you can think of. I couldn't believe how good it felt on the Switch 2. So as much as I'm happy that I've got a Switch 2, it's incredibly bittersweet at the same time, because I know there are some of my friends, some of the people in the community, you know, people that have played this game since inception, so Splatoon 2, Salmon Run, and now they feel like they can't play it because the game is broken. So yeah, I don't think I would have passed this wave if I was playing on the Switch 1. I think the fact that there have been 0 frame drops in all of this footage allowed me, with a weapon like the paintbrush, to run those eggs. But yeah, I hope this video has, you know, shown you how I'm feeling about Salmon Run at the minute. There'll be more videos soon, but yeah, I'll catch you guys soon.